Hey everyone, welcome back to Homestead in a Box. My name is Leah and I'm super grateful to have you here today. Today I'm going to be planting garlic and then just talk about a few things that survived the frost that I really didn't think that were going to survive the frost. Here a while back, it was several months ago, I ordered some extra hardy German OG hardneck garlic from Johnny Seeds. I received it in the mail, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I'm just now going to be getting it in the ground. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why garlic is beneficial to grow, and the difference between hardneck and softneck garlic, and why we're growing some here on our homestead. So I already have my soil ready to plant my garlic in. I've already came in and I've added some rabbit manure. I also added some, as you see here, some feather meal. We harvested our chickens this past week, and feather meal is a great source of nitrogen to add to your garden. So I just tossed it in here where I knew I was going to be planting this garlic. I've already moistened the bed, things like that. I've already taken my garlic cloves and tore them apart. Okay, see here. So that's what you're gonna do when you get your garlic, whether you order it from a place like Johnny's, whether you just grab a organic bulb from the grocery store or whatever, you're gonna wanna take your bulbs apart, but not take off the thin paper on the outside. You're gonna wanna leave that attached as much as possible. This one right here that's bare, I don't know if you can see this one here, I'll actually just toss it back in the bag and use it in the kitchen. So you have two different types of garlic. You have a hard neck garlic and a soft neck garlic. Basically the difference is how they grow and then the way they taste and how people use them. I'm growing a hard neck garlic. The bulbs tend to be a little bit bigger, and a hard neck, it just has it has a stem that grows up through the middle, and then the soft neck, it's almost like an onion to where it just has leaves that you can almost braid whenever you're storing it. So garlic bulbs like to be planted 4 to 6 inches apart, and then as far as depth wise, there's so many different answers out on the internet, so I always just I go at least probably 4 inches deep into the soil, maybe not quite 4 inches deep, but a good amount. You see here, like it's to my knuckles, you know, and then I'm covering that up. So I bought 5 pounds of garlic, probably not gonna plant all 5 pounds, mainly because some of the cloves did lose their papering, so I will cook with those, we'll utilize those. As with anything, after you plant something, go back and water it. It's fall, so you don't have to water your garden as much, but I definitely want to get this garlic pretty good and watered. That way it can start to form roots. It's really important for garlic to form roots in the ground in the winter more than it is for them to sprout. Depending on when you plant your garlic, a lot of people will get sprouts. Some of the garlic that I had that was kind of volunteer garlic, it has little green sprouts coming off of it, but the main concern for growing it through the winter is allowing root growth under the ground. So just keep that in mind. You definitely want it to be growing under the ground, and you left the thin paper on there, so the water needs to be able to soak through that, so those seeds, those bulbs can start forming roots. Alright, just a few tips about growing garlic before we go check out the rest of the garden. Remember to plant them 4 to 6 inches apart. Leave the thin paper on your garlic. Plant the garlic pointy side up. There is a massive bug that just flew by me. Plant the garlic pointy side up. I'm going to come in. The leaves are falling right now, so I'm going to come in with some leaf mulch and mulch my garden. It's really important not to have bare soil. Bare soil leads to erosion, and it can just be a nightmare in your garden. So make sure you're mulching. I'm going to come in, like I said, with leaf mulch over all of this garlic and mulch it with leaves. Make sure it's staying moist, you're keeping it watered, and then really garlic, you just wait for it. You just have to wait. This garlic will be ready probably late spring, early summer. It really just depends on what variety you're growing, what the purposes you're growing it for. So like I said earlier, we're growing a hardneck variety. A lot of that is mainly for culinary use. It has a lot of people use it for culinary uses, but a lot of people will use hardneck varieties for things like honey and garlic. Whenever you mix honey and garlic together, a lot of people, because the hardneck varieties have bigger cloves, people who are mincing them and making their own minced garlic and canning that, they tend to get a hardneck variety. And plus, hardneck variety, like I mentioned earlier, it can survive through some of the coldest climates, you know. And here in Oklahoma, it's really just wishy-washy. I was talking to a friend the other day and I said, well, I feel like this winter might end up being a lot like 2021, you know, where it's kind of just chill until January, February, you know. That's great for people who garden and for people who grow food. But anyway, the garlic, it's going to depend on the variety. It's going to depend on when you plant it. You have plenty of time to plant garlic right now. You could go get garlic and wait a week and still plant it, and it will be just fine. You need to plant it before the ground obviously gets too hard. And also keep in mind that garlic has to go through a stage called stratification. Stratification. And basically it's like a cold shock to that bulb before it's actually going to form underground. Like tulips have to have it, some onions have to have it. For instance, a little bit off track, but like my tulips have to have it. So because I'm growing them this year as an annual, as a cut flower, I have to put my tulips in my deep freezer and allow them to be able to still go through that stage. I'm basically forcing it onto my tulips, but you do have things that do require that cold snap in order for it to really just thrive and survive into the next season of growing. So that is my garlic, real quick up here at the front of this video. And now I want to show you all what survived in my garden after the frost, and then just talk a little bit about, you know, what the garden is going to look like throughout the winter. But really I just want to show you all what survived the frost, and tell you just what you still have time to plant right now in Oklahoma. It's November 6th, 2023. All right, first things first here. All of the tomato and basil vines. You can see where I had so many tomatoes on here. I just did not harvest them. I had a lot of tomatoes left on these vines. I just chose not to harvest. The chickens have came in. I've let the fencing down so you can see where the girls have came in and, you know, having a little snack while they're getting a nice little dust bath. My pineapple sage did not survive, which was really surprising to me, and when I take you to the other side of the garden, you'll understand why. I thought right down here, I have a little bit of this balm that survived. You can see where some of it died off, but then some of it's still surviving down here, so we're gonna see how well that does. Over here, my oregano, it thrives in cold temperatures. If you want just an herb, I mean, you can see where it's literally growing out of the garden bed over onto the ground over there. Oregano. We love using oregano and making our own spaghetti sauce with it. It's really good using it that way. I see over here a piece of little wild spinach survived. The garden food is so interesting. All right, it's bright, but look at all these tomatoes that did not survive, which obviously we knew tomatoes aren't going to survive a frost. I just allowed the frost to take them, as nature so should. Definitely cutting back on how many cherry tomatoes I plant next year, though. All right, so my bee balm survived. I was really surprised about. You guys, I gotta tell you about this blackberry bush here. So I let it completely die, and then I watered it and I cut it back, and now here we are. The reason I was surprised about the other sage is because this sage survived the frost, which I was really surprised about. Over here we have some mint. That's apple and orange mint that survived. Whip it around. Everything under here pretty well survived. All of my radishes, they're about ready to harvest. My cabbages, things like that, they're all looking really nice. I finally had to clean Aunt Connie off because they were shading my cabbages too much. And so I needed my cabbages to grow a little bit. I know you can't really see them, but I needed them to grow. That way they can get established. Of course, all of my carrots, my beets, my spinach, some of my collards and some of my turnips took a little bit of a beating with the cold. And I think it's just because they weren't really well established yet. I trimmed them back. I also thinned them out because they were sowed in here really thick. And so watered them really well, gave them an inch or so of water, and so here's to hoping. Also, I accidentally left my money tree outside. Of course, I still have these beauties. You can start them from seed in your home. Viola and pansies, super easy. They survive pretty cold temperatures. All right, everyone, I'm calling it a day for the day. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out with me. I'm super grateful for each and every one of you that are just coming along on this journey with me. As always, I am sending you good vibes. Send some good vibes to somebody that you know, and we'll see you all next time.